What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. So, apparently, Joe Biden has sent yet another $200 million to Ukraine. They're holding our southern border hostage in order to get more funding for another country's border. Imagine that. I can't understand where the disconnect is coming from people that support what is happening to this country. I really don't understand the disconnect. They are either so blinded or I just don't get it. I don't get it, man. So Zelensky is making a last-ditch push to get more U.S. weapons and aid for Ukraine. I'm going to give you the amount of money that we paid into Ukraine so far for the last 2 years. Mind you, a conflict that they said was going to be done in 6 weeks, we're now going on for 2 years. This is another mistake by the United States government and military-industrial complex. And when I show you the amount of money that we've already spent in Ukraine, it's going to blow your mind. And I'm going to get into that in just a little bit. But I want to go ahead and read a little bit here from this article. I got an article from NPR. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky was in Washington on Tuesday to make a last-ditch push to convince Congress to approve more U.S. weapons and aid for his country in order to push back against Russia's invasion. Zelensky met first with senators and top congressional leaders before heading to the White House for a meeting and press conference with President Biden. The visit came at a critical moment when White House says it will run out of money to support Ukraine by the end of the month. Biden has asked Congress for more than $60 billion, $60 billion with the B, in aid for Ukraine, but has so far been rebuffed. Republican support has waned as the war has dragged on, and they're tying support for additional funding to changes to border security. Congress is supposed to leave for the holidays in a matter of days. Again, they're holding our southern border hostage in order to get more funding for the military-industrial complex and this giant money laundering scheme that's happening in Ukraine. No American, none, should be okay with what is happening right now. Before you send money to another country to secure its borders, you better damn well have your own southern border secured and safe. This is egregious behavior by this administration. Egregious. We have never seen anything like this. Sitting with Zelensky in the Oval Office, Biden told reporters that Congress would give Putin the greatest Christmas gift they could possibly give him if the aid package fails to pass. So essentially, telling the American people, if you don't pay this, then Putin is going to run over Ukraine. He's going to run all throughout the NATO and the UN, and he's going to take over the entire world. That's what they're trying to tell you. Look, I am not a Putin lover. I don't support Putin. I don't support this war at all. I don't support either side. I don't like seeing people dying, especially for conflicts like this that were most likely started by Victoria Nuland and the provocateur Boris Johnson, among with many, many other evil characters within our government and other foreign governments. I don't support the people dying, but I also don't support the American people going into debt funding it while our own southern border and our own country is suffering, right? Like I said, this should be unacceptable by everybody. The majority of the American people do not support funding this war anymore. They don't. Over half of the American people, the majority of Americans, are done with this conflict. These people messed up. They should have took a deal a long time ago, and now they have no leg to stand on when it comes with negotiating. Joe Biden and the Biden administration should have been conducting diplomacy rather than just a blank check continuously funding this conflict with the taxpayer money. It is unbelievable. Why don't these Congress people like Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, how about they fund it with their millions of dollars? Why don't they give up $200 million? Why not? They can afford it. If they want this conflict so bad, and if they want it to drag on, and this meat grinder, this bloodbath that's happening in Ukraine where hundreds of thousands of people are dying, why don't they fund it? I don't want to fund it anymore. And the majority of Americans don't want to fund it either. So why are we doing it? I have an idea. But I want to go back into this real quick. Then I'm going to give you the numbers. It's going to shock you. So until today, Biden has insisted the United States would be with Ukraine, quote, as long as it takes. But on Tuesday, his message shifted to saying that the U.S. will be with Ukraine, quote, as long as we can. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Are you just going to hold our southern border hostage to squeeze every last dime out of the American taxpayer before securing the southern border? Like, at this point, I don't even care about the southern border. Like, what is the point? You're going to secure the southern border the last 8 months of the Biden administration? This thing has been wide open for the last 2.5 years. You have tens of millions of illegal immigrants that have flooded into this country. Republicans' biggest achievement is going to be securing the southern border 2 months before the 2024 election. Watch, that's what's going to happen. Oh, we secured the southern border for you 2 months before the Biden administration is over. This is what these Democrats, man, I'm telling you, they are very, very smart, very cunning, and very evil. They know exactly what they're doing. They run circles around Republicans when it comes to getting the things that they want. The Biden administration and Democrats wanted an open border. They want free migration. They want mass amnesty. The Great Replacement theory is a real thing. It is not a theory. Once again, the Republicans and conservatives got accused of creating conspiracy theories about the Great Replacement when that's actually what's happening. They don't even hide it anymore. They will go on live TV and tell the entire country that we want these illegals in here so that we can give them jobs, so that they can pick up the economy, so that they'll do yard work, so that they'll go to the farms. Like, I don't know about you folks, but before illegal immigrants, who was doing those jobs? Like, who was doing the farming? Who was working in the restaurants? You know, we didn't always have illegal immigration like this. There was American citizens doing those jobs well before the Biden administration's mass immigration crisis. So these people are not... Everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. Everything. So this is what the White House actually wanted. So the White House wanted $61.4 billion more for Ukraine. And here is how it stacks up. I got a bar graph here. So in just military aid, we've given them $113 billion. All right? In economic aid, which is just their economy. Yes, we are holding up and propping up Ukraine's entire economy. We've given them $42.5 billion in total, just in their economy. All right? In humanitarian aid, which is like their firefighters, their police, their borders, their infrastructure, all the pensions for the politicians. Yes, we're paying the 401ks and pensions for the Ukrainian politicians over there. We've given them $15.3 billion. And then there's this one funny little bar that just says other. What does other mean? Like, what is that? Well, whatever it is, it's $3.5 billion in total that we've given to other. What is, I don't know what other stands for. What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe yachts and Rolls Royces and for all the corrupt politicians over there in Ukraine. I don't know. Maybe. But I'm telling you what, even if $3.5 billion, it may not sound a lot when you're talking about $160 billion, but $3.5 billion, that's a lot of money when you're talking about skimming off the top. So think about that. You have $3.5 billion that just goes to other. That could be anything. That could be corrupt oligarchs and politicians skimming money off the top. And they could take $100 million and no one would even notice because there's $3.5 billion there. This is disgusting, folks. What this Biden administration has done is disgusting. And we're paying for it. All of it. So it makes you wonder. Like, it is so egregious, I cannot imagine anybody being okay with this. If this is a successful policy from the Biden administration, like they are going to consider this successful foreign policy, then we need a real intervention on what good, successful foreign policy looks like. You want good foreign policy? Look at the Trump administration. The Trump administration had good foreign policy. Nobody can deny that. They may try to bend it and skew it how they want, but the point is, we had nothing but peace and prosperity all around the world during the Trump administration. So we have real scorecards now where you can actually keep track, you can compare and contrast between a Trump administration and a Biden administration. Which one is better? Donald Trump, period. On every single aspect. There is not one thing that the Biden administration has done that has bettered this country or even this world. If anything, it's the complete opposite. It is exactly what Robert Gates said was going to happen. Robert Gates said Joe Biden has been wrong on every foreign policy the last 4 decades. He was trying to warn the American people. He was trying to tell people, just like I was, Joe Biden is a walking human pandemic. Do not elect this guy president. And what do Democrats do? And here we are. So there you go, folks. There's the totals. So in military aid, $113 billion. In economic aid, $42.5 billion. In humanitarian aid, $15 billion. And other, $3.5 billion. What does other mean? I don't know, but it really makes you wonder. Like, so Joe Biden just committed another $200 million. How he's able to do that, I don't even know, honestly. I mean, it didn't go through Congress, I guess, because he's the executive branch, he's the commander-in-chief, so he can just, delegate money for defense funds however he wants. I have no idea. But isn't it sad that Donald Trump couldn't even get $40 billion to build a wall on our southern border to protect our country? But Joe Biden can take $200 billion to give to another country's border to secure their border? This should be sickening to everybody, not just Republicans or conservatives, not just leftists and Democrats. The American people should be outraged that we're spending this type of money to secure another country's border. So Joe Biden is allowed to give $200 billion, and somehow he's not an evil dictator, but Donald Trump asking for $45 billion to protect our southern border by building a wall is an evil tin pot dictator. It's wild, dude. The hypocrisy and the double standards is wild. So it makes you wonder, is Zelensky blackmailing Joe Biden? You really have to ask the question, because Trump was impeached for asking about Biden's Ukrainian corruption, right? You guys remember, that was one of the things Donald Trump got impeached for. He was asking Zelensky to look into the corruption of the Bidens. Why? Well, because he's the president of the United States. And if there's corruption going on by an American politician, the American people have a right to know. In fact, it is the president of the United States' duty to see into that corruption and to make sure that foreign countries and foreign oligarchs like the Ukrainian oligarchs and the Bidens aren't making millions and billions of dollars off the taxpayer. That was Donald Trump's job to do that. If he didn't look into that, I would be pissed. He was trying to get to the bottom of it, and they impeached him for it. And then come to find out, he had every right to ask that question. So imagine that. Donald Trump was asking about the Ukrainian corruption, the Ukrainian Biden corruption that we now know is real, and that he should have pushed harder. He should have got information from Zelensky. So it makes you wonder, does Zelensky have dirt on Joe Biden? Is Zelensky blackmailing the Bidens? And this is why Joe Biden is so dead set on just spending every last dime that we have on Ukraine, on this conflict that's never going to end. It's never going to end, folks. Ukraine is not going to push back Russia. Ukraine is not going to take over Crimea. It never was going to happen. This was the military-industrial complexes and the Ukrainian oligarchs' way of just getting millions and billions of dollars through the American taxpayer. Everybody wins. Everybody wins with this Ukrainian conflict, except for the Ukrainian soldiers that are now dying in that meat grinder and the American taxpayer. All the rest of them, they all come out of this on top. So it really makes you wonder, does Zelensky have dirt on Joe Biden? I think he does. I think he does, and we're going to find out. We're going to find out. And that's exactly why they're after Trump. They're after Trump because Donald Trump is such a threat to this corrupt system that they have built for themselves. This club, we talk about it all the time. This club that they built for themselves, that they got the keys to, you're not invited. And Donald Trump is a threat to that club, right? So they're after Trump. Think about this. They're after Trump because he gave you a prosperous country. And prosperity brings what, folks? Prosperity brings unity. And unity means these people no longer have a job. If the American people were united, think about it. This is why weeks and months before an election, you'll always see race wars pop up. You'll always see the media pushing division. You'll always see government and Congress pushing division. This is what they do. They've been controlling us like a bunch of sheep for decades. And so they create these racial divisions. They create these transgender divisions to keep the American people divided. Because if the American people were to unite against one common enemy, which would be a bloated, inefficient, ineffective government that is pillaging the American taxpayer, then these people would have nowhere to go. They wouldn't have a job. We would no longer need these corrupt people if the American people would just unite. But we won't. We won't, because we have too many people that are too blinded. They're too blinded. They will not unplug themselves from the matrix. They won't do it. They can't. They're too scared. They are too scared. You start talking about these conspiracies, like the J6 Fedsurrection, and how it was a false flag operation conducted by the United States government. You start talking about these things, these people want to shut you up. They want to censor you because they can't handle the truth. And the media doesn't want the truth getting out there because, well, that means they're out of a job. Think about it, folks. We would no longer need the media. We don't need the media now. There's plenty of alternative outlets out there that people could listen to. We don't need CNN and MSNBC. As long as the American people are divided, these people will continue to just screw the American people over. The government will continue to grow. The American people will continue down this path of disparity. It's not going to get better, folks, unless you make some changes. Donald Trump was never supposed to win that election, ever. Hillary Clinton was supposed to take the reins from Barack Obama, and the saga was supposed to continue on into the Biden administration, and it was just going to be one thing, one corrupt politician after another, after another, after another. I mean, think about it. Donald Trump was the only person ever in U.S. history since George Washington to become president without having any political experience whatsoever, without ever being in politics. And you can claim the first person ever because George Washington was in the military. He was the general. So think about that. The first true outsider we've ever had and gave this country the best years it's seen in decades. It's not a coincidence, folks. It's not. He was able to do that because he's not part of their corrupt club. He's not part of their corrupt system that they use against the American people. And the only reason Donald Trump didn't have an even more successful administration was because the administrative state media like CNN and MSNBC, the Pravda media, continued to divide the people by drumming up hatred and fear-mongering the people into hating Donald Trump. If the media did not exist from the years 2016 to the years 2020, how good the American people would have had it in the 4 years Donald Trump was president. It's not a coincidence that those years were the best years this country's seen in decades, from the first time we've ever had a president that was never in politics before, a true outsider. It's not a coincidence. And that is exactly why they want to destroy him. They don't want you having peace and prosperity. They don't want the middle class growing. They want you to go to work, make just enough money to survive, pay your taxes, and then maybe for 5 years before you die, they'll give you a little piece of that money back. But that's it. Once you die, it goes back to them. You can't leave it to your kids. You can't leave your Social Security to your kids. You don't keep nothing. And in fact, anything you do leave your kids, they get to take another chunk with more taxes, like a capital gains tax or an inheritance tax. This is what these people do. It is such a corrupt system that these people have created to keep the American people divided and to keep the American people in place like a bunch of sheep. They've been hoarding the American people like a bunch of sheep for decades. It is one giant system. And like I said, the only time the American people were actually starting to get ahead, like saving money, buying homes, peace breaking out all across the world, prosperity, was when we had a president, a true outsider president, running the administration, running the country. Is that not amazing? And what are they trying to do to him to prevent him from doing it again? They're trying to throw him in prison for the rest of his life. It's truly wild stuff, man. Truly wild. So prepare for a lot of gaslighting in the coming months. We are officially in election season, folks. That's just how it is. When Congress comes back in session, I think in sometime in January, yes, they're taking like a 3-week vacation, because don't we all get 3-week vacations? So when they come back from vacation, the election season's going to be in full-blown, full action, and the American people are once again going to continue to get screwed. In all honesty, I don't mind these people going on vacation. I really don't. Because every day that Congress is not in session is a day that the American people get to keep more and more of their freedoms and more of their money. The moment that these people come back, they're going to be writing up bills to spend yet another, probably billions more of your money, putting you more into debt. I mean, it's insane. It's insanity. It really is. So speaking of gaslighting and propaganda and corrupt media, Biden has apparently dropped the Bidenomics slogan because people just weren't taking it serious. Like the level of arrogance that these people have to sit there and say that the American people should be grateful for Bidenomics is astounding. Not only is the economy good, but you should be grateful for Bidenomics. That's pretty much what they were saying. You guys remember that? Oh, because of Bidenomics, we have the best economy ever. People are looking around at each other like, what the hell are these people talking about? This is the worst economy we've ever seen in our lives. And it's true, it is. It certainly is. And they're not even being honest with you about all of it. So Biden's new slogan, since he's getting rid of Bidenomics, because I guess the people just weren't catching on, I guess. People just weren't really, they weren't really buying the Bidenomics slogan. I wonder why. So Biden's new slogan is going to be called People Over Politics. You mean like the southern border? You mean like those people? You mean like the millions of illegal immigrants, those people? Or do you mean the Ukrainians? Those people. Because he's certainly not talking about the American people. He's, in fact, talking about every other person but the American people. He's not putting the people over politics. The only people that Joe Biden's going to be putting over politics is the illegal immigrants, the Ukrainian people that are in a 2-year-long conflict with Russia that we've been funding for 2 years, and essentially all the other people around the world. The American people, you and me, will come last every single time. This is why they're holding our southern border hostage in order to give other people more money. So even when it comes to securing our own border and aid to Ukraine, to a 2-year conflict that's just going to send more Ukrainians to their deaths, they still pick Ukraine over you. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. So I got an article here from the BBC. The Democrat had been expecting to seek a second 4-year term and launched his campaign in a video on Tuesday. He said it was a pivotal moment with freedoms and rights under threat. Quote, "This is not a time to be complacent," he said. "That's why I'm running." Vice President Kamala Harris, 58, will once again be his running mate. Mr. Biden, 80, is already the oldest president in U.S. history and is likely to face questions about his age throughout his campaign. He would be 86 years old after finishing a second full term in 2029. Quote, "It's legitimate for people to raise issues about my age," he said earlier this year. "And the only thing I can say is, watch me." Watch you do what, dude? Watch you do what? This guy has so much blood on his hands. Think about it. He's got all the COVID deaths. All the COVID deaths. He's got the Ukraine, the Ukrainian soldiers dying in Ukraine. He's got the 13 soldiers that died in the Afghanistan withdrawal among, I don't know how many injured, like 200 injured. And then that's just Americans. There was a bunch of Afghanistans that lost their lives too in the Afghanistan withdrawal that Joe Biden overseen. Watch you do what, Joe? The record numbers of illegals pouring through our southern border? Watch you do what? The disastrous economy with 22% compounding inflation? So in other words, you've given us a 22% inflation rate in the last 2.5 years since you've been president? Everything has went up almost 25%, a quarter, since this man has been president. In some cases, much more than that, like 33%, depending on what you're talking about. Think about that. In 2.5 years, this guy has made everything 25% more expensive. So watch you do what, Joe? Disastrous foreign policy with wars all over the place. You're creating fires all over the globe. What are we in? Two conflicts now, and then we're working on a third one with the Venezuela conflict in Guyana over oil-rich land in Guyana. So that's going to be a third conflict. Then you have China possibly invading Taiwan, which I'm surprised hasn't happened yet. So watch you do what, Joe? Your justice system that targets Americans? Like, what is this guy so proud of? Honestly, does anybody think when Joe Biden comes out on that stage and he says something like, I gave you the strongest economy in history, do you think he really believes that? He knows he's not giving you the strongest economy. He knows he's not giving you peace and prosperity. He knows all this garbage that he talks about is a lie. This man will get on that stage and purposely lie to the American people. He is a habitual liar. This man cannot speak to the public without lying. He lies every time he speaks. It could be about the smallest thing, but most of the time it's about really big stuff. I don't know. About him never talking to his son about his son's foreign business deals? How about that lie? That seems like a pretty big lie, huh? And so it's just amazing to me how this guy can just blatantly say these things like, yeah, Bidenomics is great. I bet you guys are loving the economy right now. You guys should be grateful for the economy I gave you. So back to the article. Within hours of announcing his candidacy, President Biden addressed union workers in Washington, D.C., where he was greeted with cheers of "Let's go, Joe," and 4 more years. You know where all the cheers were coming from? All the union bosses and the union representatives that Joe Biden gives millions of dollars to. Like, it is so... Do you think the union workers are actually... Do you think the workers, the employees, are actually saying, "Let's go, Joe"? These people are struggling to put food on their table. They can't save money to put a down payment on their house. Do you think they're really cheering, saying, "Let's go, Joe"? Give me a break. This is why our media sucks, man. Our media sucks. They are nothing but Pravda propaganda outlets. Literally, what we're reading right now is propaganda. Straight up lying to your face. Oh, yeah, there may be people saying, "Let's go, Joe," in 4 more years. Oh, yeah. But it's not the workers. It's not regular Americans. It's not anybody living in reality right now that has to pay for groceries and has to put gas in their car. Because if they are cheering for more of this, then they're idiots. Because what we're dealing with right now is unsustainable. Who would cheer for their own destruction? Seriously, who cheers for their own destruction? Not only cheers for it, but they want to pay for it. They want to pay for this disaster for another 4 years. This human pandemic. Yeah, let's go, Joe. Let's see how much more damage you can do in another 4 years. This guy has done historical damage in record time. You want to give him another 4 years? Who knows what would happen? This country may not even be here. It'll be here, but it's not going to look good. We're going to be descending into a third world banana republic because we already are right now. But we will officially be in a third world authoritarianism with police state powers if these people get another 4 years. So throughout the speech, the president underscored what appears to be his slogan for the 2024 campaign. You guys ready for this? This is going to be his new quote. It's time to finish the job.
Burn this mother down. And I said, you better not. You better not.
That's his slogan. That's going to be his campaign slogan. It's time to finish the job. All I can say is please no. Please don't finish the job. I don't know what job you're trying to do. I don't know what job you're trying to accomplish. But if it is anything like what we've been experiencing for the last 2.5, 3 years, please do not finish the job, all right? We don't want you finishing the job. Quit. Quit, man. If you finish this job, this country is finished. What job is he talking about finishing anyways? What is it? Because it can't be the economy. It can't be peace around the world. It can't be inflation. It can't be the security of our southern border. What job is he talking about finishing? I just don't get it. These people lie right to your faces, man. They lie right to our faces. And and what's even more sad is people actually buy it. They do. I don't know who. I mean, I really don't. The only people that I know that are sitting here cheering for, I don't even know anybody, honestly. I know a handful. I really do. I knew a lot more back in 2020. But I'm telling you right now, that list of people that I know that voted for Joe Biden, that still continues to support Joe Biden, is very, very small. Very, very small. He's lost a lot of support, man. That list is shrinking by the day. And honestly, the list for Donald Trump is growing every single day. The tent is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's exactly what we need. It's a big tent and everybody's invited. I don't care. I tell all my friends that voted for Joe Biden, I don't care. You vote for Donald Trump. If you want things to get better, vote for Donald Trump. If you want the destruction of our country to continue, vote for Joe Biden. It's as simple as that. It really is. I mean, if you break it down, because we have scorecards now, we can compare and contrast. If you really want to break it down to its simplest form, reduce it down to its simplest form. All you have to ask yourself is, if you want the country to get better, like where the country was between 2016, 17, and 18, before the COVID pandemic, then you vote for Donald Trump. If you want peace and prosperity, a successful economy, and you want all these good things that you had from the years 2016 through 2019, then vote for Donald Trump. If you want more of the destruction, the misery, the pain, and the agony that we've been experiencing for the last 2.5 years, then vote for Joe Biden. It's that simple, folks. It is not that difficult. I mean, it's pretty basic instinct stuff here. What happens is people start getting political. They start getting emotionally involved, and a lot of these people that refuse to vote for Donald Trump, they have been psychologically and emotionally broken by the media. They really they don't even know why they hate Donald Trump anymore. Because everything that they were made to believe is a lie. You know, at first it was, I'll never vote for Donald Trump. He's a Russian agent. He's a Russian stooge. And then it comes out that was a lie. It's like, I'll never vote for Donald Trump. He was an awful president. And then you have to ask yourself, well, yeah, but we had peace and prosperity breaking out all across the world. The country was in its best shape it's seen in decades. We had the best southern border we've ever seen. You had the lowest inflation, lowest unemployment rates, the highest wages for minorities. You had the highest growth in minority-owned businesses. Like, yeah, there's nothing else that these people have to run on except for emotions. Now the media's got them talking about a new talking point. They're back in their echo chamber. The media's starting the echo chamber back up again. And now the new gaslighting, the new talking point is a dictator. And so now the media has people convinced Donald Trump's going to be a dictator when we just had the guy as president for 4 years. These people must not have any faith in our system. They must think really lowly of our system if they think that by electing Donald Trump would mean that we would be a dictatorship. It's just nonsense, folks. Everything these people believe is a lie. It's emotionally charged propaganda. But this is unfortunately what we have to deal with. We have a media that is now owned by the administrative state. It's government, state-run media. You literally have people going from government positions, high-level, high-tier positions in the government, into the revolving door at the media. MSNBC, CNN, NBC, ABC. So, like, you literally have government-run media. Not only do a lot of them go into cable news media, but they go into social media as well. And so every source that we get our information from has been infiltrated by the government, whether it's social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, or whether it's cable news media, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC. Like, the government is in every single nook and cranny of our society and culture. And we have a vast portion of our population that believes what the media is telling them, believes what they see on the social media platforms, because they're too intellectually lazy to do the work themselves. Trust me, if these people that voted for Joe Biden, if they knew what I knew, if they actually went back and read articles, I'm not talking about CNN articles and the Guardian and the Washington Post articles. I'm talking about go in, read the evidence, look at everything that has happened in the last 8 years. If they knew that, there was no way these people would be voting for Joe Biden. This is why you see more and more people taking the red pill. This is why you see more and more people coming to the conservative side. They're leaving the Democrats or they're leaving the independents and they're coming to the Republicans. They're coming to the conservative side. The people that love America. You see it happening with celebrities every day. You see staunch Biden voters that are now going to be admitting that they're going to be voting for Donald Trump because things have just gotten so bad. But these people that have been trapped in this echo chamber, these people suffering from extreme denialism, they're not going to vote for Donald Trump. They're going to vote for Joe Biden again because they are emotionally and psychologically broken. You have to be screwed up in the head psychologically in order to vote for your own destruction. That's the only reasonable explanation for why you would do something like that. So prepare for more of the gaslighting into the election. Joe Biden's new slogan is going to be, "It's time to finish the job." He touted, the article goes on, he touted his efforts to restore the American economy after the pandemic, as well as the bipartisan infrastructure bill, before teasing what he would do with a second term in office. And he said, quote, "We've got a lot more to do," Mr. Biden said. Mr. Biden faced off against Mr. Trump in 2020, defeating the Republican after promising to restore the soul of the United States. If this is the soul of the United States, we are screwed. Then I don't know what the hell happened. Because I'm telling you right now, folks, I have not changed. I have not. We got vast portions of this population that think men can give birth. You have vast portions of this population that think it's okay and acceptable for drag queens to go to elementary schools and dance and shake their junk in front of kids. Like, you have a real problem. The soul of this country has been tainted. The real soul of this country is in patriotic Americans. Red-blooded, patriotic, yes, MAGA conservatives. Those people are the soul of this nation. You know, the people that have family members that are buried in Arlington Cemetery. The people who have family members that have fought multiple generations in the wars of this country. The people that go to work every day, the plumbers, the electricians, the carpenters. The people that go to factory floors. The people that go out into the farms and plow the fields. That is the soul of the United States of America. These people are trying to refound America. They're trying to create a new America. This is why they're always trying to erase our history. This is why they have to take down the statues. This is why they have to change the names of historical monuments and buildings. They're trying to change history so that they can re-find the United States of America. But I'm sorry, folks, sitting there saying that men can give birth and all this other garbage, the critical race theory, the blatant racism that we see right now all throughout our institutions and our society, blatant racism, like straight up segregation. You know, that thing we fought a war over, that thing that thousands of people died over back in the 1960s, the civil rights movement. That is the soul of the nation. But sitting there segregating college campuses, that is not the soul of this nation. So I don't know what Joe Biden is talking about, restoring the soul of the United States. What do you think MAGA conservatives are trying to do? Right? This is why conservatives say no, men cannot give birth. Because if you cannot accept a fundamental truth, then you cannot restore the U.S. soul of the United States. Because the soul of the United States is the truth. It is honesty. It is God. It is faith. It is religion. In God we trust. It is prayer. It is hard work. It is merits. It is patriotism. It is everything that the left wants to destroy is the soul of this nation. And so therefore, if they're trying to destroy that while claiming they're restoring the United States, then that means they're trying to restore it to something much, much different. And it's not the United States that we know of. So, like I always say, these people are trying to purposely destroy this place so that they can rebuild from the ashes their own perfect utopia. But it's certainly not going to look anything like what me and you grew up with. You're going to have a world where you have men showering with women. You're going to have perverts running the streets. You're going to have drag queens in schools. You're going to have kids going into college and coming out pure 100% Marxist leftists. You have schools that are brainwashing our children. And then if parents go to try and fight back against it, trying to protect their children from their school boards, the Biden administration, the government, the administrative state investigates them and characterizes them as domestic terrorists. I don't know about you. That is not the soul of the United States I remember. And so if these people are trying to restore this country into anything but patriotism, merits, hard work, religion, then they're not trying to restore what United States was. They're trying to refound what they want the United States to be. Anyways, I have a lot more to talk about, but we're going to have to go ahead and talk about it on the next segment. I want to talk about the education system. The reauthorization of 702 has been authorized by 147 very, very cowardice Republicans. So essentially, Republicans once again let down the American people. I know I'm so sick of saying it. You're got to be tired of hearing it. The Republican Party has let down the Americans by reauthorizing the FBI to spy on innocent Americans. It is the same program. They have reauthorized the FISA warrant program. They have reauthorized essentially everything. Everything. So the FBI, even after having 270,000 warrantless searches on innocent Americans, illegal searches on innocent Americans, they just got the 702 reauthorized. So no punishment there, no accountability. Once again, no accountability for spying on the Trump campaign and abusing the FISA courts, lying to judges to get a FISA warrant. No accountability for any of it. In fact, the FBI just got a brand new, I think it's $400 million building, and now has just got the Section 702 reauthorized. So no accountability, nothing. They got everything they wanted. So slow clap for the Republicans, once again letting the Americans down. And I'll be sure to put the blame exactly where it needs to be when Americans are continued to be spied on. And the blame will go to these 147 Republicans. So take a bow, cowards. You just, I don't know. I guess just funded the FBI and told them it's okay for you to do illegal searches on hundreds of thousands of Americans, to spy on Americans, target them, and characterize them as domestic terrorists, and arrest them and lock them up into a DC gulag, spy on them, conduct false flag operations, and, whatever it is they want to do. So, way to go, Republicans. So Section 702 was reauthorized. This happened yesterday. I'm trying to think of what else happened. Just real quick, go into all this stuff. You obviously have the Hunter Biden indictment. I'm sure you've heard more than enough about, but we can go into a little bit. The Republicans. So essentially, just like I said was going to happen on the last episode, they're giving us impeachment as a shiny object, while at the same time screwing the American people. So they're like, okay, we're going to vote for impeachment, while at the same time funding the FBI and all the egregious behavior that they've been doing for the last 6 years. So no accountability for the FBI, but don't worry, we're going to give you an impeachment. Folks, if I have to sit and watch my country be destroyed and my fellow Americans being spied on for an impeachment that's never going to get a conviction, I don't want it. I don't want it. If you have to give me a choice between impeaching Joe Biden without a conviction or getting rid of the FBI or holding the FBI accountable for all the egregious behavior in the last 6 years, I'm going to pick holding the FBI accountable, because defunding the FBI and taking and holding them accountable for what they've done to this country is more important to me and does more to help this country than impeaching Joe Biden. But what they did, they were like, you know what, we're going to go ahead and stab the American people in the back and continue funding all this crazy stuff. But don't worry, we're going to give you impeachment of Joe Biden. Trust me, folks, if it wasn't for the American people hounding on this, if it wasn't for as much evidence and so many Americans concerned about the Biden corruption, these people wouldn't even be impeaching Joe Biden. They wouldn't even be voting for an impeachment inquiry. These people, our system is broken. Our Congress is broken. Our government is broken. It is too big. It is too expensive, too bloated. They're creating conflicts all around the world, spying on Americans, locking innocent people up, throwing away the key, abusing their powers. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than what the hell are Republicans doing? And then we're supposed to worry about a Joe Biden impeachment that's not even going to get a conviction? My God, man. What a freaking trade-off, huh? Jesus. And so that happened. So the Republicans finally voted to start the impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. And essentially what that does is they have way more subpoena power now. They have congressional subpoena power. So now they can subpoena White House documents, congressional records, phone calls. They can even subpoena White House staffers and their phone calls, their phone records, internal communication lines, Slack channels, email addresses from the Treasury Office. They can subpoena records from the NARA, from the National Archives Records Association, whatever it is. So they essentially have a lot more power now that they've started an official impeachment inquiry. So, I mean, that's a good thing. But again, still, the end result is we already all know Joe Biden is corrupt. We knew this 6 months ago. Hell, a year ago. We knew this back in 2020. I knew the Bidens were corrupt back in 2014 and 15 when Politico wrote that article. But for the most part, majority of Americans knew the Bidens were corrupt back in 2020 because of that laptop. All the information that was coming out, the connections that were being made. And so, I mean, it's like it's taken this long to just get a vote on an inquiry just to get subpoena power. I don't know. It doesn't even really matter because he's not going to get convicted anyways. So I don't understand. I would much rather be defunding the police state that has overtaken our country than see Joe Biden get impeached but not get convicted. It was not a good trade-off for the American people. I'll just leave it at that. The American people got really screwed by their own party again this week, by the Republicans. Again. The Republicans, man, they kicked their own constituents in the teeth, dude. It is so wild to see this party so vengeful against their own voters. The American voters need to hold every single one of these people accountable come election time in 2024. And trust me, we are going to do a proper episode, maybe multiple episodes, going through every single Republican in Congress that is a liar, that is a coward, that has voted for some of the most egregious stuff. One of those people is, and I know it's, what's his name? The guy with the patch over his eye, the Navy SEAL. What the hell is his name? I can't remember his name. The guy that looks like a James Bond villain. Yeah, supposedly a conservative. Yeah, he's got to go. There is a lot of people that got to go. Ken Buck in Colorado's got to go. I don't care, folks. Put a freaking Democrat in there. I don't care. We got to stop letting these Republicans stab their own voters in the back just so that they can stay in Congress and get the sweet vacation, the sweet paid vacations and the sweet benefits. We got to stop with this stuff. We have to. We got to get better people in our Congress, man, that are going to put the American people first instead of their own elections and their own best interests first. I don't know. Anyways, we went on long enough. I can rant about this stuff for hours. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be making another segment for Saturday, this same time tomorrow, so make sure you tune in. Follow the show on Rumble. You can get a hold of me at Steven Tauriello on X. You can get a hold of me, StevenTaurielloShow@gmail.com. Follow the show on Facebook. Follow the show on YouTube, all that good stuff. If you want to leave any, if you want to send me any information, just send it over to me through email. I'll take a look at it, and I'll respond back to you. So we made it through another week, folks, and we have Christmas just days ahead. And which is really wild to me that it is already Christmas again. I feel like it was just Christmas a few months ago. So here we are, days before Christmas once again. And I don't know if I told you on the last show, but I will be here during Christmas break. Yeah, they're not going to stop coming after this country. They're not going to stop trying to destroy this place. So we're not going to stop here. So I'll be putting out content through Christmas break. I don't actually get a 3-week break, unlike our congressmen and women who get 3 weeks, and it seems like they're never doing their job. I don't know what these people do, honestly. Being a congressperson's got to be one of the best jobs in the country. You get sweet benefits, good pay, and even better pay when you skim money off the top and corrupt deals and get kickbacks from foreign countries. And most of all, you get the best benefits ever, the best medical, the best health benefits, the best retirement, the best everything. And it's no wonder why these people never want to leave. Anyways, TGIF, we made it another week. So I want you guys to have a good day. I want you guys to have a good weekend. God bless you, and God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.